heard people cause floods, burnt houses down, not the whole house down, but part of the house down.
Yeah.
And these weren't fully qualified, and neither were they fully insured. Boiler installs like emergency ones, that's my bread and butter.
Okay.
They're like, boiler's broken down, tenant hasn't had hot water for 2-3 days.
Yeah.
We need to get boiler in there tomorrow morning. Like, that stuff I kind of specialize in. So you get nausea, headaches, you might get upset stomach, diarrhea. These are signs of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Welcome to another episode of the CityRealtor podcast. Before we proceed, please do smash the like button as it really helps the channel. Today I have a special guest in studio with me by the name of Saleh, owner of Touch of Heat, your neighborhood partner for heating, repair and installation services. How'd you like that, Sal?
Yeah. Thank you. I'm kind of overwhelmed, man.
I got that from you. I went and did a bit of research on your website. How you doing, Saleh?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you for coming on.
No.
I figured, obviously this is a new setup for me. This podcast style videos, and anybody that's coming on, I really appreciate it because you don't really know what I can do how these are going to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I trust you. Otherwise, I won't have to come and kidnap you. It's all cool, man. It's all cool. I was a bit reluctant, as you know, to get on. I'm a bit camera shy, so to say, but yeah, man, it's a new thing for me, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Hopefully, it comes out good, and I feel like obviously I've been doing different types of videos for a while, but I want to give a little bit of a platform for people that I work with regularly and people that are in my life, so that two ways, obviously it promotes our business, promotes your business, and also people will learn. I'm definite that they're going to get a lot of value from what you're going to be speaking about today.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to come this is one of the reasons why I wanted to come on. So hopefully I can pass on some life and death kind of information, hopefully, and help tenants, landlords, etc. To kind of work towards safety and so people.
So to give the people a bit more of a context, so what is it that you do for a living? Tell us.
Okay, so I'm a plumbing and heating engineer. I've been gas safe registered for about 6-7 years now. So I've been working in the industry for about on and off for about 6-8 years, and more so full time running my own company for the last 6 years now. Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
So
Alhamdulillah. Yeah. I mean, we've been probably working. I mean, because just to give people a context, like you do pretty much most of our gas safes, I would say. And a lot of gas work that we have from our office, right?
Yeah. So I've been fortunate for you guys to give me an opportunity. So so I've been looking after your properties, anything related to plumbing and heating for the last almost 6 years now, 5-6 years now.
So from the early days then,
Yeah. So initially when I first started, so when I did get qualified, back in 2016, I kind of took a plunge and went self-employed, and I was fortunate enough to have like friends, families, good network connections that I was able to get work in and then obviously learn on the job while it's getting paid. That's the difficult part of the industry, because in college or your training center, they don't really teach you the reality, what's out there in terms of repairing boilers, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking also probably in terms of business as well, like how to get yourself out there. You don't really learn that in schools, right?
No. So it's all been a learning curve for me, the whole process. I've been thoroughly enjoying it, and I can only say, it's the best thing that I've done in my life, man, to be honest.
That's really good. Because it's coming back to me now, because you were introduced to CityRealtor through me, actually. We met at, I knew of you because I knew of you already, but we met at a residential.
That's right. Yeah.
We kind of got talking, hit it off, and then you told me what you do, and I said, look, why don't I give your number to my PM team? And that's how we,
and we're still here, man.
That's wicked. That just shows you, I'm not a great believer in go to networking events and network like this, but you should be networking everywhere you go.
Absolutely.
And the way you network, in my view, is you have to show a good character of yourself. That's, in the end of the day, that's if someone thinks that I'm a good person in general, where that character's good, then they would want to maybe do business with me if they know what I do, right? I think that's probably, because I liked you, we had a good thing. I thought, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend you to that team.
100%. And it's what you're saying is that's majority of my work has come through that, through word of mouth, people that I've known. I'm talking like almost 90% of my work over the years has been through that, through character, professionalism, attitude, behavior towards work, all these kind of things. So
I mean, to be fair, even ours, not maybe 90%, maybe like 80% is through word of mouth. We do all this, like, you know, different types of advertising and stuff like that, but end of the day, you can't beat word of mouth.
No, of course, and trying to sustain your customer, that's another step that you learn in your journey through managing and all these kind of things. But I mean, character, behavior, attitude, these are all fundamental practices that everyone needs to put in self to actually be sustainable in an industry.
I mean, because you can take a job, hit and run.
That's it. And, that's it. And I've seen that happen countless times. I've seen it happen countless times. It's not. Some people always look towards the money. But they don't understand that money will come eventually. It's what you put in first. So some people that I've seen, engineers that have come into the industry, they'll go and I don't want to say in a bad way, but they get vulnerable customers and they rip them apart. But this ain't how you're going to sustain yourself. You're either in it for the long run or you're in it for the short run. And all long runs, they're always the best alternative.
Because I think I'm trying to think back. Like when I was young, much younger. I mean, like a child. Like I feel like that's the kind of perception people had of like tradespeople, right? But when I got into the business, it was very different. Like the lettings and sales business, like because we were dealing with tradespeople all the time, and it was you see a different side to people, and obviously we are accountable, so then we hold other people accountable, and it's very hard to not get things done in that sense. But like. I mean, if you just watch like, I don't know, Watchdog and stuff like that, there's always a bit,
rogue traders,
do you know what I mean? And they're always preying on like old people.
That's it, man. But there are horrible individuals out there, man, that do these kind of things, man. It's always good to look out for who's coming in your property, looking after them, because essentially you're trusting them, and if they're not insured or they're not qualified, and people. I've heard people cause floods, burnt houses down, not the whole house down, but part of the house down. And these weren't fully qualified, and neither were they fully insured. They never had public liability insurance and all these kind of things. So
it must have been quite difficult for you in the early days, right? Because you jumped in self-employed. Right now, you're an experienced gas boiler engineer, and so it's much easier for you to kind of take on jobs, I guess. But early days, how was it a bit of a struggle?
Absolutely, man. As is with anything, when the first part of the journey is always a struggle, and this is where you need to be patient and persevere. It was in terms of getting the work in and learning the trade as well, because I was learning as I was going along. Fortunate for me, like I said, I had friends that were already in the industry, so they gave me a helping hand, and that really helped a lot. And especially having people like yourself giving me work. That really, really propelled me through the gears and get to where I am today. So I'm in a position where I've got like 2 guys working now, so I can spend time here with you guys.
Okay, I didn't even know that. Okay, so you got 2 people working for you?
2 guys. Yeah, so one of them is my close friend. He qualified, because I got him on it. He qualified at the back end of last year. And he's been working with me more or less full time since January this year. And I've got another brother. He does all the plumbing work for me. He's been with me for about a year now.
Okay. So, Okay. So, because what I've seen before as well with different tradespeople, sometimes I find that there's a lot of people like, I don't know if they're sole traders, but they take on jobs on their own, but then they always have a network, a bigger network, that if they need to take on a larger job, they, is that, have you worked like that before?
Not necessarily, because this is the thing. So when people come into the industry without any prior experience, it could be anything in the construction industry, whether it be painting and decorating or plastering or electrician or what have you. People always try to dabble in everything, and that's when it becomes a mess. So my intentions coming into the industry was to be like a specialist in heating, and I'm working towards that. I wouldn't say I know everything, and you never know everything, But so this is what I've been trying to work in. What you've described is mainly like builders and contractors, so they'll take on a job, and then they'll get other guys to finish it off, so plumbing, electric, and etc. Sure, I've worked alongside them before, but I kind of prefer the more maintenance side of the trade. So within our trade, you've got like the installation side, and you've got the maintenance side. So the installation is when you're working alongside builders, piping up new houses, 3-bed detached, whatever, new boilers, all radiators, new hot and cold pipe runs to bathrooms and fitting out bathrooms and stuff. And on the other hand, you've got the maintenance side, which is like stuff like emergency boiler not working, repair, servicing, emergency installation, gas safety certificates, etc. So that's my kind of line that I've been working in, and I've kind of cemented now.
In the second side, like
in the meantime, I mean, within like the installation side, like working alongside builders and developers, here and there, now boiler installs like emergency ones, that's my bread and butter.
Okay.
They're like, boiler's broken down, tenant hasn't had hot water for 2-3 days. We need to get a boiler in there tomorrow morning. Like, that stuff I kind of specialize in.
What do you mean by installations?
Installation is more where, for example, you've bought a house and you want it renovated.
Sure.
So, we repack the whole central heating system, boilers, pipes, all new pipes going in, boilers, gas pipe run, etc. Radiators, bathrooms. That's the more installation side. That's more site, like where you're on like a construction site kind of thing. But
But you prefer the more.
I prefer that. Yeah, that's what I've kind of gotten into and I've stuck with. I do prefer it as well, and I'm because the more you do something, the more better you get at it.
Yeah.
So with the installation side, I've done some before. I'm really slow at it because I don't do it regularly.
Yeah.
So for someone that does continuous installation, it might take them a week, whereas it might take me 20 days.
Yeah.
Because I don't do it regularly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And trying to think if you touched on it already, but how did you get into this line of work?
Oh, I've always wanted to get into a trade. So from young age. So I initially in college I done electrical installation. So it was either going to be electric or plumbing kind of thing. But life takes turns in different directions, and I didn't see it through until late in life. Almost when I was 29. I jumped on the gas safety course. And I literally quit my job that I was doing at the time. I was a courier driver at the time. I quit my job and I took a intensive course, which was a 3 months course. I had to go Monday to Friday. It's like going back into college, literally. Because and it was a massive gap from when I left college, because I didn't really go into university and stuff. So it's like almost like 15 years since so it was a massive change for me to get back into like reading books and classroom. I got married. I just wanted to kind of have a career, not a dead-end job.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, it was the best thing that I've done.
Yeah. Now, I mean, it's transitioned into, obviously, to begin with, like a steady kind of job, I guess, and then now it's a full-on business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I want to touch on a little bit of things that landlords can do right now. I mean, in terms of, we know there's certain compliance and that landlords need to do.
Yeah.
In terms of your specialisms, like, the gas and you guys do the EICRs as well?
We do EICRs, yeah.
So just to clarify, the gas is the gas safety certificate I'm talking about. The EICR is a electrical installations conditions report.
That's right.
And they're both mandatory for rental properties.
That's right. So with the gas, I think that became mandatory in 1998 or 1999, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me.
Is it as recent as that? Yeah.
Yeah, because before it used to be Corgi. The older guys will know about Corgi. Corgi. Yeah. So Corgi, they was basically, well, I was never Corgi. I've always been gas safe. They was from the old engineers, my peers that I've spoken to, some senior guys. They always told me that Corgi was always out to make money. They wasn't really enforcing any of the regulations. They wasn't conducting random inspection on any of the engineers. They were just collecting the money and seeing it through. So, and in 2009, HSE came in, which is part of the government, Health and Safety Executive, and they rebranded it with the yellow triangle. So this is like the known now. So gas safe encourage customers to always ask for their IDs before coming and operating on a gas appliance, etc.
Okay.
So ever since then, they've been more kind of stringent and more strict as to how the engineers are performing on the field. So they do random checks. They come and check that you have all your means. So like, your gas safe certificate sheets, notification, labels, all this kind of stuff. They might take you to your installation and say, look, show us what you've done and we need to assess it. So this is the good thing that they've done. Because even when I got into the trade, there was a lot of guys coming in with no prior experience, and they're going out and carrying out jobs. They may well be gas safe registered and qualified, but there have been some horror stories where they've made some carbon mistakes, etc., etc. And this is the thing that the actual governing body, they need to come and inspect and assess so everybody's safe.
On top of being qualified, like they need to. You're saying that they need to kind of have a stronger look.
And this is what they've been doing recently, more so than when I first qualified. So a lot of the new guys that have come into the trade, as soon as they register with gas safe, they get an inspection straight away.
I see. Okay. Just to make sure they're going on the right.
Of course.
Okay. The gas needs to be an annual thing, right?
Gas is annual, so gas is similar to your MOT of your car or your van or what have you. So because you're burning solid fuel, gas, natural domestic gas, in most dwellings, you have to have your gas appliances checked every year. So if you sit around for your MOT, you see they stick a probe in your exhaust and get your emissions reading. So this is what we do as well on gas boilers, and just to check for gas leaks. You don't have irregular readings from your boiler. Sometimes the boilers, because they've been maintained and looked after over a long period of time, you get irregular readings, and you get carbon monoxide parts per million over 300, and that makes it immediately dangerous. That's another thing that I wanted to touch on was carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide is what we call a silent killer. So you can't smell it, you can't hear it, and you can't see it. As opposed to gas, you can smell it. So it's essential that you do have your gas appliances, namely your boiler, inspected every year. And as of 2022 December, it's become mandatory to have carbon monoxide alarms where solid fuel is being burnt.
So it should be roughly how far is it, like a meter or more than a meter?
Meter enough. So usually on the carbon monoxide alarm, they give you a instruction sheet. Usually meter and a half away, around the same height of the flue itself. Cookers and hobs, they don't produce as much carbon monoxide alarm, but is recommended. But with boilers,
it's not mandatory for cookers?
You should do essentially, because it's changed as of 2022. But prior to that, it wasn't a thing. But with boilers and that, it's because they can produce 300, 400, 500 parts per million. And that's super dangerous. Especially in bedrooms. If you got the gas boiler in the bedroom, especially in bedrooms,
and you could be asleep and
exactly.
Because of it, right?
And I actually saw a recent study, I think it was by Enfield Council, that on average in England and Wales, 40 people die of carbon monoxide poisoning a year, and 300 are injured.
Okay, you're right. Wow.
That's
just in the UK or just in
England and Wales. England and Wales. But it was a study done by Enfield Council, I believe. Just to emphasise how important it is.
Sure.
And there are some like symptoms, just for the viewers to know. So you get nausea, headaches, you might get upset stomach, diarrhea. These are signs of carbon monoxide poisoning.
So that could be like slowly happening to somebody.
Carbon monoxide isn't like an instantaneous killer. Like if you haven't addressed it and you're experiencing these symptoms, potentially it could cause you great damage to your health.
I used to sleep in a room with a boiler.
But a lot of people don't know these things, and a lot of people kind of brush it underneath the carpet as well. They don't believe. And carbon monoxide alarms, a decent one will cost you about £20-25, and they last 10 years. I mean, so, it's not
there's
massive.
no excuse for it, right?
Exactly.
Especially if you're a landlord.
Now it's mandatory as of December 2022.
So what could happen if someone didn't do that, or if they didn't do gas safe? What's the repercussions of something like
that? Especially for landlords, it can get very sticky, very difficult for them, because if the tenant acknowledges that they haven't been given a gas safety certificate upon signing of the tenants, and if they kind of know what they're doing and stuff, they can take action, legal action. I've had landlords contact me if they can get backdated gas safety, because it's not been every single year, and they're having difficulties with the current tenant, and it's gone through the court process. More about this than I do, and they are really in like And I said, look, you can't do it,
Can't do that.
unfortunately.
That's that.
Yeah.
How bad would that be from your side, right? That's like,
Yeah, nah,
you know what I
man.
mean?
Nah, I wouldn't.
Like you said, your whole character, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you have to kind of uphold what you stand by. I suppose, gas safe, we are governed by a body, and, I could potentially lose my license.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's going to be any criminal implications or not. Maybe. I'm not sure.
But I've read you can get fined up to $6,000. You can face jail even, like, or especially if someone like gets injured or
Absolutely,
God forbid,
absolutely.
dies.
I remember when I was in college, our teacher was telling us there was one young engineer. It was like a case study, and he didn't do his test properly on the annual inspection, and a child died from it.
Wow.
And he got manslaughter. He got done for manslaughter. I think got like 3 years or 4 years. But that's his like career down the drain now. So it's and literally it would have taken him about 4 to 6 minutes to do the test.
Yeah.
So, and also I've had where I've attended properties alongside the landlord and police because they've had the tenant and the landlord have had issues, and the tenant is refusing entry.
Okay.
So I've had to attend with police officers.
So they're refusing entry for you to do like a gas safe?
Yeah.
Oh, so now, it's a legal matter now. You
Yeah,
have to get them.
yeah. So I've had to attend
right?
with police because there's a civil dispute between the tenant and the landlord.
Yeah.
And tenants refusing access. So now the police have had to come in. So it's really uncomfortable. It's really, really uncomfortable. You'd be surprised, man. I've been like, it's only happened to me twice, but it's an uncomfortable situation to be in.
Yeah.
But this is the reality of landlords that are not keeping up to date with compliance checks and all these kind of things. And the landlord that I mentioned about, he had 9 months of unpaid rent.
That's the same one you have to
Same
go
landlord,
police with,
9 months of unpaid rent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's a whole separate discussion with the Section 21s, how delay. I mean, that could have been a Section 8 that you could have served, but it's such a long process right now. So EICRs are a bit more recent, right?
Yes,
I know it's not gas.
No, yes, I think they came into effect in 2017 or 18.
And who's the government?
And it's all like different boroughs have different programs with the EICR.
Really?
I think Newham was the first one, and then Tower Hamlets kind of followed.
Okay.
To have it as mandatory. Not all the boroughs have that. Don't quote me on it, but I've worked in other boroughs and they haven't needed it. But maybe it's changed in certain boroughs.
Okay.
EICR, they vary between 3, 5, and 10 years. Depending on how old the installation, the wiring is.
Even 1 year, I've seen some people saying.
1 year?
Yeah, when it's a really old property.
Maybe.
This needs to be checked annually. Sometimes they say.
If it's really old. But I mean, we've seen the recent rise in house fires, and it's all electrical.
Really?
I don't know if you've seen around Tower Hamlets, especially the borough that we live in.
So just across the road from the office, we had a Maddox House. It's called. About
seriously.
There was. I was speaking to Jay. I think Jay was on the podcast, and we were talking about it. But unfortunately, someone died from it, man. And it was I think he told me it was a. I know there was an electrical issue, but he said it might have been an electrical scooter. That's been a big issue
exactly, exactly. But like, if they had their consumer units upgraded, it would have had like breakers and RCBOs and stuff like that. That would have protected the circuit more so. Then obviously we live in a time where you got AliExpress and Temu and they're getting knockoff Chinese products coming through.
I mean, that's one issue, and the other issue with that one, they had like 20 people living there.
Yeah, that's a big issue.
One person living. Some people living in the kitchen.
Sleeping
in the kitchen.
No.
So if the property is getting like that less, if it's not getting looked after that much, then you can imagine what they probably haven't had an EICR ever. Do you see what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was sad, man.
And another thing I'll just touch on before we move on is, especially for landlords and estate agents and stuff, you see like tenants, what they do, they'll probably connect like 2 or 3 extension plugs just to get it to their bed and that. And these are some of the risks that can cause fire and stuff like that.
Okay. So people should. Okay, so if they have one,
That's
safe,
sufficient.
yeah,
Yeah. You can't have multiple on
yeah.
and then on
Meaning
each
like
one.
you have one extension and then you have another extension going from that one.
Yeah,
That you should stay away from.
you
Yeah?
should stay away from that. And
Okay.
I've seen them with like 2 or 3 plugs on one extension, and they've added another extension running it close to the bed. Now
okay,
you're
okay.
overloading that ring,
Yeah.
and that could have massive repercussions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So people, I mean, I feel like obviously the newer properties now they have a lot more. They upgraded the electrical.
Yeah.
They have
It's a
more
lot more safer.
sockets.
Yeah.
Some of the older, I don't know if you come
No,
across some of these old
Yeah,
properties.
of course,
there's only one socket.
of course, yeah, in the whole bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I
now-
understand the struggle,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay, so
Best to be safe.
people should stay away from. I mean, should not do that.
Yeah.
In fact, if there is a property like that, they're probably in need of the electrics to be upgraded.
Probably
right?
add another socket or two just to make life easy for everyone and be safe. Yeah.
What kind of other things do landlords need to be wary of? Do you think in this current day with regards to like gas?
Yeah, I mean, so your gas appliance, having them checked regularly is highly advisable. Carbon monoxide alarms, smoke alarms, heat alarms. Heat alarms for kitchens, and so where there's the actual live fire.
Yeah.
Heat alarms and smoke alarms on every floor.
Yeah.
Of the property.
So these are all. So apart from the heat alarm, is that they're all mandatory?
Yeah. So so smoke alarms, I think they came into effect in 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after Grenfell. What happened in Grenfell?
Yeah.
I've kind of told everybody, look, make sure you have smoke alarms in, man. It's a life and death situation. You don't know what could happen. Smoke alarms, carbon monoxide, and heat alarms. Heat alarms are part of it as well.
It is mandatory, yeah.
Don't
Because I know it's mandatory.
Don't quote me on it.
When you're doing
HMOs
like,
are. I know,
HMOs
are.
are.
I'm not sure on like standard properties or not. I'll have to check
So as
that.
a baseline, people should have their
Smoke alarm, the carbon
and
monoxide.
carbon monoxide alarms. And the smoke alarms have to be on every floor, you said, right?
That's right. So if you've got 2 floors, they should be in the communal space on each floor. So like the hallways.
Yeah.
And that's a non-negotiable. You need to have this stuff in place. Yeah.
Do you guys kit out like any HMOs for there?
I've never wired out myself. I've had a couple of my mates do some. Yeah. So you have interlinking smoke alarms in each bedrooms.
Yeah.
And some of them require fire panels, and you got the break glass for it, all of this kind of stuff, and then emergency lighting as well. So when you got like, I don't know what is HMO, like 6 people above or 5 people above?
So different types. There's a HMO license that's 3 and 4 people.
Okay.
It's just additional HMO. But the one where you need all the different kind of interlinked fire alarm is 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And anything above 6 now is almost like it doesn't exist almost because they don't give it. Basically, you can apply for the license. They might give you the license, but they say you have to get planning permission for it.
Okay.
And then when you apply for the planning permission, they reject you because something called Article 4. It doesn't even. Yeah. So it doesn't. You never get the license. You get the license, but you don't get the permission.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a weird circle actually.
Okay.
So apart from those services, any other services that you and your team provide?
No, I kind of like stick to my kind of trade.
Your
Plumbing and
specialism,
heating. Yeah. Electrics on the side, yes, I do some certification and bits of maintenance work with electrics, but yeah, mainly plumbing and heating. That's my forte.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Any funny things happen when you get?
Yeah, man. I've seen.
You know what? I'll tell you. One of the funniest times of the days, is like when our office setup, right?
Yeah.
And Adam's there. He walks in. I mean, Adam will come in all loud and making noise and stuff, and then he'll go through his messages, right? Yeah. And some of the funniest stuff is when you're like sending him voice notes. Right? And, I'll be hearing what you're saying.
So you guys hear that as well, yeah?
Because he's in the back. And, first of all, he's loud himself, and then he'll put it on full blast, so we can all hear it. Like, what kind of funny things happen then?
Oh man, I've seen a lot, man. Okay, I see one, right? When you got the flu, the flu. So obviously the flu, for the viewers, is essentially like an exhaust pipe for your boiler. So all the products of combustion, so all the gas that you're burning, all the monoxide and all the bad stuff gets pushed out through the flue to the outside. That's where it needs to terminate. So I attended this property and the boiler was gone. So they had like, on the side of, like in your garden, they built like a timber structure with plastic sheets on top. It's like a makeshift extension. Okay. Yeah. So the flue because they're condensing boilers, the flue, there's moisture coming out through the plume will have moisture. So that must have been damaging the timber structure a bit. So he's cut a hole in the plastic sheet and terminate the flue. But you're meant to be like changing the whole flue if you want to terminate. So he's put a toilet connector.
Okay.
4-inch toilet, a pan connector, an elbow, and terminate through the flue, right? And subsequently, rainwater has travelled through the flue and damaged the heat exchanger.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. So now he needs a new boiler.
Yeah.
So man, you come across stuff every other day, man. Oh, literally, this is a good thing. On Monday, I attended a property in Collingwood Estate, just around the corner from us, and they have like a communal setup. Anyway, so the leaseholder, she had her hot water cylinder installed 12 years ago by a council subcontractor before she became a leaseholder. Okay. And so the subcontractor for the council has changed over the years, and they've had a new one come in, and he's come and like capped the whole thing off, like disabled the whole hot water system. Okay. So she's like, look, it's worked for 12 years. We've had no issues with it. This new contractor's come in and turned it all off. Yeah. So I had a look at it, and it's completely unsafe. Okay. And it was, when you've got, mega flows, right? Unvented cylinders is the actual term for them. So, like bigger properties have them. Some, Yeah, so it's not a gravity fed system. It's mains pressured, right?
That's right. It's when if you've got multiple floors.
Push the pressure, the hot water pressure's greater. Than like a gravity fed system. Sure. This was a small flat, but it's the setup that they had anyhow, and it didn't have none of the safety device connected. So there was no expansion vessel for the cold water system. There was no combination valve, which restricts the incoming pressure as well to 3 bar, and it has a pressure relief valve. And then there's another safety device for the cylinder. So once the hot water builds up to, I think that's set to about 6 bar, and it will discharge out. That's not terminated correctly. And I was so shocked that it was an actual social housing contractor that had done such a job.
Because they're usually...
Exactly, you know what I mean? And they're charging, you can imagine, they're charging the council, you can imagine what kind of prices they're charging. And it was shocking.
So what did she have to do?
Well, the council came and turned it all off. She's called me in, and I said, look, we can't really do nothing about this because they're within their remits to shut it all off. I don't want to turn it on for you and you're in danger. She's like, it's been working for 12 years, nothing's been happening. I said, well, something could happen tomorrow, and I don't want to be the one to bear the brunt of it, So I've had to leave it turned off, and I had to tell her, look, you need to replace the whole system and install a new one. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And she's trying to kick up a fuss with the council. I said, look, it's a bit long-winded. You can try, but I don't think you get anywhere with it, to be honest.
So this is communal as well,
It's communal. So with communal heating systems in older buildings, so the buildings in this borough and in and around London that were built in the 50s and the 60s, a lot of them had communal heating systems. So they have like a massive plant room in the estate. And that there will be like 2 massive boilers. So one will give hot water, and each property will have its hot water cylinder. And then the other will give the heating.
That's that big tank looking thing.
So the hot water cylinder is what stores your hot water, but the communal boiler will warm it up. Okay. So a lot of the older ones were gravity fed. So with gravity fed system, you have little to no hot water pressure, especially in like small flats. So a lot of the landlords, leaseholders, they upgrade them to unvented cylinders. And when you upgrade them to unvented cylinders, there's regulation that you need to follow. G3 is the official term for them. And in her case, none of them were followed. Even though it works, and it's been working for 12 years. But you never know what could happen.
It's funny because I have a property where it's like that. It's communal heating. There's a
Which one is that? Oyster?
Oh yeah.
I've been there.
But recently, and it's funny. I was showing this other flat to someone for sales, right? And they was like, I wish it was a thing. If you got your own boiler, I wish it was a communal system. I was like, why do you wish that? I'll tell you about what happened to me with the one we're talking about, right? I thought it was, they give you an estimate for the year. But at the moment, the
service charge.
yeah,
it's crazy.
And it includes the boiler fuel.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
And it's in general, you would probably know as well. Like in general, they're high, right?
They're high.
And at the moment, because the rates went up so high, I got charged an extra £2,000 for the year.
My mum's house, they're on communal. It's gone up to £6,000.
Imagine, and that's what, like a 3-bed?
Yeah, 3-bed ground floor masonette.
Imagine ex-local
£6,000. It's crazy.
£6,000. Yeah, that's the service charge you'd pay in a
high-end
luxury
building. Exactly.
you know what I mean? Where you get a swimming pool and all this stuff. And
absolutely.
And I was like, and in total, that for mine it became like £4,000 or something. I'm like, for a 1-bedroom flat.
Yeah, it's
you know
crazy.
What I
mean? I know. I mean, £6,000, 4,000. It used to be a lot cheaper. Going back about 10 years ago, I think it was about £3,000 or £4,000 a year.
Yeah.
And within the space of literally within the space of a year or two, it's hiked. And that's largely due to the recent increase of gas. Boiler fuel. And a lot of the and another thing as well, especially with social housing properties, and the way the contractors have been dealing with them, it's not been correct. They haven't upgraded the boilers, so they've been using the same boiler and repairing it for the last 20 years. And they're not efficient.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So a lot of I've worked alongside some social housing contractors in mainly Poplar Harker, and they've been upgrading them on the communal system. So they've been putting in, I don't know if you're aware of HRUs, heat interface units. So they're a large properties, especially in the new developments that were built in the last 10 years, they all have a HRU. So essentially what it is, they have a massive commercial boiler, and then each individual property will have a heat interface unit that acts as essentially the same as a combi or a system boiler, either way, but you're not burning any fuels like the large boiler is, the communal boiler is. So they've been upgrading them in Poplar Harker. So we've done a few properties for them in E3.
Probably at the leaseholders' cost though.
Leaseholders' costs.
So that's the thing. I mean.
And then you know what they're gonna charge you.
I mean, I guess for the long run it will be cheaper. But for the short run, everyone's gonna have to.
You're gonna have to
foot the bill.
Yeah, you know more, but with social housing, like they do give you option of going into payment plan and stretching it out. So it kind of works out. It's better for the long run for everybody, and it frees up the space because when we convert them to HRU, we took the whole cylinder out, so they essentially got another airing cupboard now.
Because it's a massive thing.
Absolutely.
Like my flat that we were talking about. I was thinking of like reconfiguring the flat, but I can't because there's a massive cylinder in the middle of the bathroom. So like everything revolves around that now. That's right. You know, if I wanted to open that part up, I can't. But I guess if they changed it to HRU, I maybe can. Any other funny things happen?
You know what? Yeah, recently I had a call, right? And I had a number saved on my phone, and I couldn't put a face to the name, and then he sent me the address, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't know. Anyway, as I was going up, I mean, before the booking, he booked with me, then he cancelled and rescheduled once. Anyway, it was a bit fishy, but anyway, we went ahead. It was a gas safety as well. It was in Woolwich. So I've gone there and I see police there. And I'm thinking, what is this? You know what I mean? And then he phoned me and he said, look, I'm here. So this was, I don't know if I should even mention this, but he used to live in the property with his mum, his wife, his mum, and his brother and his sisters. It's a detached property in Woolwich. And I don't know, they've had some family commotion because he's on the deed and his mum's on the deed as well, so they're like co-owners. He's taking his parents to court, bro. It was a crazy one, man. I've never and he didn't tell me this prior to attending.
So why did he call you out?
To get a gas safety done. And he's put 2 tenants in there. So it's like a 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom house. And he's put, because...
But his parents live there as well. So they got lodgers, right? So actually, when you have lodgers, do you have to have a gas safety still?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Some of the other rules don't apply to lodgers.
I'm not sure, but he needed, and it was I didn't expect. I avoid this kind of stuff, and he didn't brief me before attending. I've kind of stumbled into it, and They were Bengali anyway, so I had to act like I'm a Bengali. I did. And I had to walk in with the police, and then the EPC guy was behind me. EPC guy was there as well. Oh man, yeah, it was and then you know what? And
Is that the one you were telling me about before? Or?
No. That's a separate one. That happened a few years ago. So and then he's telling me. And I said, look, man, keep me out of this stuff, man. If I knew this stuff, I wouldn't even attend. And he had the audacity to call me back about 2 weeks later and asked if I could give him a statement that, you know, they refused entry and he had to gain entry through police, etc. I said, listen, mate, just keep me out of it, man. I don't want nothing to do with it. But yeah, that's another sticky one that I've been in. I've had tenants kicking off, all this kind of stuff. You know, the landlord's putting a rent up. It's got nothing to do with me, man. But they're kicking off.
You know, that's a funny thing, actually. You probably get this a lot. But let's just say we send you out somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of them probably don't understand you're a separate contractor. So do they start complaining to you a lot?
Yeah. Oh my God, a lot of the times. And I've walked in and I've gone to do a standard like a gas safety inspection, and they're telling me about the doors broken and all this kind of stuff and that. You know what I mean?
Have done this, so.
Yeah, I get it all, man. I get it all.
Been to any celebrity homes or anything?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been to, you know what, the most famous one is probably Rita Ora.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you know Rita? Yeah, of course, yeah. So I know some Albanian contractors, and they were working in...
She's Albanian, right? Yeah.
She's Kosovan. I never met her. She's never there. They've got PAs and all these other people around them. I've never ever met her. I've been to Mrs. Morrison's house. You know the owner of Morrison Supermarket?
No way.
Yeah, so
her name's actually Mrs. Morrison.
Yeah. So the guys, her husband was the founder. He passed, and it's like, so her name's Mrs. I've never met her either.
Okay.
So I've gone there just to do like a safety inspection and stuff. So she's got a London townhouse in Harley Street. You know Harley Street in the city? Yeah. There, and Rita Ora.
Do we have to cut this out? Do we have to cut it out where they live, or?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But this is readily available information anyway. Rita Ora bought a listed church in Primrose Hill. Okay. Really affluent part of town. Yeah, really nice. Yeah, really and it's nice. Like, and it's you never think there's a house there, but and they've restored it like back to its old glory. Really nice. Really.
A lot of celebs in Primrose Hill. Actually.
Yeah, because it's a really nice area.
Yeah,
man.
Especially if you're driving there. You've got a really nice view of London as well.
Yeah. When you're on top of the hill. Yeah, that's right. I didn't know about this. So when I come back, I've done a bit of Google search. And she was throwing parties during the COVID and stuff, and she had a lot of backlash. And
So that's property's become quite famous.
And then so it was a listed building. I think she paid a good few million for it. About 8 million or something. But they're the two celebrities I've been to. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But I never met them. Never met them.
Fair enough. One thing I wanted to ask you is. For potential landlords and investors, from a gas point of view, is there anything that they should be looking out for when they go and view new investments, let's just say? Is there anything that they can, from that point of view, be aware of? Yeah,
absolutely. So if they've got gas burning appliances, see how old they are, if they've got up-to-date records, gas safety records, if it's been serviced, if they've had home care plans, etc. They usually give you reports annually for the condition of your appliances. That's one. Second of all is age as well, how old it is, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so one thing, like, even when I'm going to look at properties, like, if I see, and this is something from, like, from a long time ago, like, I've always been, like, you try and figure out how old the boiler is. But how do you figure out how old the boiler is? Like,
Okay, a good rule of thumb is if you have a plastic white pipe. Okay?
Plastic white pipe?
Yeah, that's what we call a condensed pipe. Sometimes it's black, but 9 out of 10 times it's white colour, Plastic pipe. Okay. So that would make it post-2005.
Okay.
This is when the laws changed with gas boilers. So 2005, anything that came into production or into the market after 2005 had to be condensing. Yeah. Prior to that, they were all non-condensing. Sure. This helps with the efficiency, etc., etc. Yeah. So that's a good way to kind of look at the boiler. Has it got white pipe? Yeah. Okay, that means it must be up, post 2005. Yeah. And anything before that is pre 2005.
Sure. Even if it was supposed to, it could still be up to more than 10 years old, right? And how long should a boiler?
Okay, generally speaking, a boiler especially the modern tap boilers. Modern tap boilers are a bit more sensitive than the older tap boilers. Boilers from the 80s and 90s were indestructible. I kid you not.
Oh yeah,
Cast
they're
iron.
built to last. Yeah.
Yeah, man, and you just do small repairs on them and they work, but they're not as efficient.
Okay.
And they do clog up system, which requires flushing.
But the body of it lasts.
Yeah. And a lot of the time when I've come to replace them, it's only because the parts have become obsolete.
Okay.
Yeah, so they stop producing the parts, so they're forcing you to change.
Sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I'm looking at a boiler today, and I'm gonna go in the evening, and it's from when I was born, so literally the same age as me, and it's a Vagrant as well. So the older boilers were gold, as they say, but that's one way to look at it. I mean, if a boiler has lasted you 12 years, 15 years, 12 to 15 years with no maintenance at all. A lot of the landlords, I understand they're treating it as a business. You know, they don't get service every year. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in a sense, it's their choice to have it serviced or not. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. And I've seen like 12, 15-year-old boilers, no service, nothing at all. It's been running sound. And it's still going strong. Generally, if you get 12, 15 years out of the boiler, it served you well without no maintenance or no repairs.
Okay, but so if you are servicing it every year, should it last longer?
I wouldn't say it will increase the longevity of the boiler because some manufacturers state that every 5 years, namely Valen and Baxi, you should have a full strip service. That's what I would more emphasize on than having it regularly serviced, in a sense, because the annual service, personally, it may prevent a few call outs, like a blocked up condense, for example, because part of the service is, you clean the condense out. It may prevent that, and spark electrode, give that a clean. It may prevent a cooler here and there, but in terms of longevity,
not really much of a difference. Okay, fair enough. Do they sometimes have stickers on them telling them when it was been installed as well?
Yeah, so if you can locate the serial number of the boiler, usually, so on valence, it's the third and fourth digit that indicates the year the boiler was came out of the factory. Okay. So third and fourth digit. Okay. Yeah. So you might have like 2118. Yeah. So that would mean the 21st week of 2018.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So the third and fourth digit.
It indicates the year. Yeah. So that's mainly on valence. Yeah. And Baxis as well, similar type. You see the third and fourth digits. They're the two digits to look out for. That would indicate what year the boiler's from.
Okay.
Ideal boilers. They usually, if you look for the data badge, they usually have the year, like it's stated, like 27, 3, 14, 15, whatever. Yeah, it's usually stated. Sure. Worcesters are kind of the same. Yeah, serial number, look for the third and fourth digits. Yeah, you figure out what age the boiler is. Also, another thing I like to add, when potential investors are looking to buy properties as well, especially newer dwellings. So the properties that were built, mid-90s, up until like the 2010-ish, that kind of era. Yeah, a lot of them had gas boilers. And some of them had thermal stores. So thermal stores and electric heating and thermal store. So your heating and hot water is by electricity. Some of them had the gas boilers, and the gas boilers that the designer or the architect, I don't know who was responsible for it. They've used twin flue system. So remember I was explaining what a flue is. It discharges all your bad products of combustion out to the outside. They've run two twin flues and they're non-condensing. So when it comes to replacing them, you have to have a condensing boiler on. And once you replace your condensing boiler, the entire flue has to change. Because the non-condensing boiler, there's no liquids coming back inside the boiler. Condensing, you get like fluids. It's condensing. You get droplets of and it drops back into the boiler and then comes down through the heat exchanger back into your condense pipe and discharge. So when we go to quote for a change, and we've done 2 recently actually, you have to run a new flue length. And the designers and the developers of that era right? They've put the boiler in the center of the property.
Okay, so the
So
flue
the
is traveling.
flue's traveling through like the one we done on Saturday was 6 meters.
Wow. So just to give people an idea, usually you'll find the boiler right next to the
Wall.
outside wall, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
that the flue is short. It's like
Yeah,
this
it's a
long,
meter,
basically.
half a meter,
Yeah,
max.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the boilers come with a meter.
But this is in
flue
the center
length.
of the road, so you have to run a 6-meter flue.
Along the living room, the bedroom.
Yeah.
Do you
And it's not
understand?
a little pipe, innit?
No,
Flues
no.
are big, right?
Yeah,
It's
so we converted them to concentric flues. So
Yeah.
concentric, because the previous ones were twin flues.
Okay.
So essentially what a flue does is, right, the inner part is plastic, concentric flues, yeah? Inner part's plastic, that discharges the products of combustion. And the outer part's metal, that sucks in air for combustion purposes, because to create fire you need fuel, ignition, and oxygen. So so it works for both. And the older type ones were 2 individual pieces.
Oh, I
So
see.
one was
Okay,
pushing
okay.
the products of combustion out, and one was sucking air in.
Okay, right, okay.
So so this is one thing to look at. It can get costly, 'cause especially like it's always a good. So these were Power Max, the floor standing boilers, and that was probably about 25 years old. Probably was put in when the building was finished, completed, and they've run the flue, and the ceilings all plastered, spotlights are all in, so you can imagine the cost involved. So we've run it on surface, and it's down to the leaseholder as to what he wants to get. Either he boxes it up or leaves it exposed. Yeah.
Okay,
So that's
interesting
one
one,
thing.
actually.
Definitely, I'd recommend any investors, any potential people that look to buy properties, especially and in one case, we've had to convert the gas boiler into an electric boiler because you don't want to bear the cost of ripping the ceiling out.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so we had to go for an electric boiler. And electric boilers, they're not as good as gas boilers. And this is another subject we can touch on later on. Gas, electric, air source, and renewables. Electric boilers do not produce heat as well as gas boilers. So gas boilers will...
How do electric boilers produce it? Because gas is like there's fire,
Fire,
right?
that's right,
And
that's
the
right.
pipes is going like this, right? And the fire's underneath it heating.
So electric boilers, so there's the electric, it's basically a massive tube inside where water will travel through, and that's got heating elements to it. So that would heat it up, and then it would either go to your radiators or to your hot water cylinder. There are electric combis out there, and we've done a couple this year actually. The hot water will work fine, right? But the heating you'll always get issues with, because it doesn't produce enough heat, especially if you've got a large property. Smaller flats you can kind of get away with, especially if you've got a larger property. And you've got like 2 or 3 floors, it can be a struggle to heat it all up, because they produce heat up to about 60 degrees, and a gas boiler will easily do 80, 85 degrees on heating demand.
And is one cheaper to run than the other? Gas?
No. So I mean, they'll from my personal experience, gas is always more efficient. Even though the scaremongering around gas in recent times, because what happens with gas, right? It will modulate, right? If you've got a modern boiler with modern controls like a Nest or Honeywell, like a modern type of OT type of thermostat, it would modulate the boiler. So, for example, if you've had your thermostat set to about 20 degrees, and your property is reached 18.5, 19, it would then communicate with the boiler, say, look, we almost reached temperature, tone it down a bit. So that way you're burning less gas, and it's not always at 100. Whereas electric, it's always at 100.
Oh, is it?
It doesn't modulate as such.
Okay. So it potentially, I mean, not potentially, it is more expensive.
It can be. And especially people that have installed underfloor electric heating, and that's absolutely useless in the sense, because it takes almost an hour for it to warm up. As soon as you turn it off, it's going to get cold. Because it's dry, because it's electric cables that are emitting heat.
You mean that type of electric?
Electric underfloor heat. So the wet type, which comes off a gas boiler or like a manifold, once the boiler's turned off, the water within the pipes is still hot, and it's still emitting heat. So
can you not have the electric boiler
running on the underflow heating? Of course you can.
But water heat.
But from my personal experience, you'll probably have to install. Exactly. You'll have to probably install 2 electric boilers to get it to temperature. It's not exactly, because you've got to remember underflow heating. You've got the pipes, then you've got a layer of scrid. Then if you've got tiled on there, you've got another layer of adhesive, and then the thickness of your tile. So it is quite a bit of heat to come through.
We've got it in the back you know where I sit in the office.
Yeah.
But we don't even use it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But because it takes so long to heat up.
Exactly.
To be fair, it stays hot afterwards, but it's just I think it's really expensive as well to run.
It is.
Because we don't have
they
the water
say
one.
they say it increases your energy usage up to about 40%, up to 40%.
Yeah.
Whilst you're running it, so yeah, it is a lot more expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. So anything else people need to look out for?
Radiators. If they go in and they run the heating.
Yeah.
On their viewing and see how well the radiators warm up. This would be a good indication to say how good the system is. So if you're getting cold spots in the center and bottom part of the radiators, that's usually a telltale sign of sludge and debris build up.
So that would mean changing the radiators, or like
there
flushes?
are a couple of options. So flushing would be the first option. Changing the radiators can get a bit more expensive, especially if you've got 8-10 radiators. Flushing would be an option. Flushing has worked, and it does work, as providing it's been done correctly. Dosing the system with anti-corrosion inhibitor and stuff would help the system massively.
Is that chemicals?
Yeah, chemicals. Yeah. So when
do you remember Abul?
Yeah. Cool. He's a legend.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Cool. You should get him on here, man.
Yeah, I don't think he would go. He's one of our most experienced plumbers, but he's like, I don't know. You speak to him and stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But like sometimes he doesn't, tell you everything like clearly, but so he'll be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a flush, or he'll be like, yeah, just sticking chemicals inside, like that's the kind of stuff he used to say.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I would advise investors and landlords to look into before buying. Like, make sure the house all warms up, boiler age, positioning of the boiler as well. That's a big factor, like I mentioned.
That's some good stuff to think. Even for me, I've been investing for a long time, but sometimes you don't fully know what you're looking for. You just do things on a whim sometimes.
Yeah, of course.
You said something about before we started about gas, that like the PM might be looking to get rid of gas.
Yeah, so they've been talking about getting rid of gas for almost about 15 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's easier said than done, because if you think about it, on a national level now, there's millions and millions of people dependent upon gas. And obviously the recent gas price hikes has kind of, there's been a lot of scaremongering around it. There was a G7 summit held in Cornwall 2021. So this is the leading democratic nations getting together and discussing how they're gonna reduce global warming. And each country, a part of the G7, they commit to their quota of reducing carbon emissions or the carbon emission footprint over the year or over the next 10 years, or whatever, however it works. So during the G7 summit, Boris Johnson, the PM at the time, he announced that there's going to be a grant available, of up to £15,000.
Okay.
But that's only for air source heat pumps. So air source heat pumps, an installation of an air source heat pump, you're looking anywhere between £10,000 to £30,000.
Okay.
And air source heat pumps, I mean, a lot of the stuff is just to tick boxes and say, yep, we signed up to it, but it won't work in reality.
What is an air source heat
Air source heat pumps is a renewable firm. It's, you know how air conditioning units work? It's similar to that. It looks exactly the same as that. Yeah.
I hate them.
Yeah.
For heat, I hate them.
Yes.
I mean, for aircon, like, there's no other thing to use.
But air source heat pumps, right, they work slightly different to an air conditioning unit, as in they still provide heat to your radiators, and it's not blowing air out.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So it's been about for about 20 years or so, 15, 20 years or so, from top of my head. I've never worked on one. I know I've never worked on one. I've never taken a course on one, because to me, it's not something that I'm going to be working on in the near future. Because if you think about it, how on earth are you going to attach an AC unit essentially on a 10th floor tower block? A lot of the stuff that the government have been proposing, it's not practical at all.
But wouldn't, like, let's say you're talking about tower block, like, and they got like 100 units, like 100 flats in there.
Yeah.
Would they not each need one?
Exactly. Yeah. So is it practical though? Yeah. It's not practical at all.
I mean, so like the grant, let's just say there's a 15 grand grant.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's still active now or no.
So it was per
property. Per application, yeah.
And how much would it cost to install one of those things? Like,
Anywhere between £10,000 and £30,000, depending on the size of the
Oh, so
property.
potentially you get it, and it could cost you more than the £15. Okay.
Exactly. It's
Oh,
not practical at all.
Yeah.
And there are pros and cons with air source heat pumps.
Yeah.
Air source heat pumps don't produce as much heat as gas boilers do.
Again, it's
And
electric.
yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of things you need to factor in before, because people go in and they just lash it in, and they don't calculate ceiling height, room size, width, length, height, all of this. You have to calculate all of these factors in before you install an air source heat pump. If they have double glazing, or what's the insulation of the property, they don't factor none of this stuff in. Additionally, there was a proposed ban on all gas boilers from 2030, right? Rishi Sunak, the current PM, reversed that. I think this year. So he's reversed that. So there's not going to be a ban on gas boilers. I mean, it's all easy and said than done, because we're talking about millions of people that depend upon gas to heat their homes and have hot water. There has to be something sensible in place for people to change over. There's been a lot of talk about hydrogen coming into effect. So a lot of the modern boilers, especially from Muster, Bosch, Valent and Baxi, they're hydrogen ready. So if there was a changeover in the national grid, the boilers are compatible. But hydrogen isn't exactly safe. So there has been some new housing estates in up north, I believe, and some in Germany that purely run on hydrogen.
Okay.
So that is, I believe, that could be the future. As long as there's safety parameters put in place, because hydrogen isn't as safe as gas.
It's less safe than what we.
It's less than exactly.
Oh, so you have to be much more careful about.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's more dependent upon like the national grid and stuff. Like I said, there's housing estates in up north, new developments, and in some in Germany. Sorry, that they all work on hydrogen.
Okay.
But for the foreseeable future, I can't see gas going away anywhere.
So, I mean, what you said about the heat pump thing. So let's just say would you need one of those?
No.
In every room, or is it like one thing that would power the whole
whole house? Exactly. So you know how you got AC units, like outside the office, you got one. You'll be a larger version of that.
Okay.
And that would be.
Oh, you mean like the unit that's outside the building?
Outside, yeah. It's going to be one of them, but that will be piped to radiators as well as hot water cylinder.
I see what you mean now.
Yeah.
Like in a tower block, you'll have hundreds of these outside.
It's impossible. It's impossible. And especially in London, you got listed buildings. They can't even have double glazing. How is they going to put one of them on that side? So like I said, a lot of this stuff is a lot of scaremongering, and government just ticking boxes to meet their quota, and that's all what it is.
There's a lot of stuff like this. This happened in the last few years, and that this year has been reversed. I think it was all planned. I mean, Section 21 was supposed to get banned. There's a reverse on that.
Exactly.
There was loads of things that were pushed, like convincing landlords to sell. I feel like, a lot of landlords. There was a lot of things that scaremongering landlords into selling their properties, which it worked, and a lot of big businesses bought it. I don't know if you know, like Lloyd's, companies like Lloyd's.
This is one of the questions I was going to ask you as well. Is there a war on landlords? Because over the years, I've just been seeing them getting stricter and stricter and stricter and more harsh than
there is, but it's ending up being less harsh than what they made out it was going to be.
Okay.
Which has scared people into selling, and big corporations like the Lloyds and companies like that have bought up loads of properties.
Wow.
They're going to be the new landlords. They want it to be, and I've been telling people to continue buying through that time. But why would they listen to an estate agent who's trying to sell properties, right?
But sometimes it is that though, isn't it? I mean, you if I wanted to get information, I'll go to the people that deal with what I'm looking into. So if somebody called me about properties, I'd say, look, I ain't got a clue, mate. I'll go to you, or you know what I mean. So
and like they could see what I mean. I openly tell people what I do, not on camera, but like if someone came to me privately, like I continue buying, like, and if you like, obviously, if you class me as an expert, then you'd think, okay, I should do what these guys do, right? And I continue buying because the prices haven't moved since Brexit. Yeah, they've either dipped or they've kind of stayed the same, right? So, and for me, I don't want to go and invest up north and stuff like that. It's a bit far for me. So I want to stay near to what I can control. And we're due for the prices to increase, and what's going to happen is like, and from what it looks like, the big corporations bought all these properties. Prices are when the rates come down a little bit. I know that they're never going to be what they were before. When they come down a little bit, all these properties are going to spike.
Yeah.
And they.
So what we're anticipating that first quarter next year, or
in terms of the rates
dropping? Rates dropping and property prices.
I don't think it will be as soon as next year. I think it depends. Whoever I speak to say like more knowledgeable than me in terms of like the financial market, nobody can really give you a straight answer in terms of where. I mean, what we can see right now is that the rates haven't moved for the last two. The last two times they were supposed to go up,
it didn't go up.
It stayed the same. So I feel like it will stay the same again, and that's what people are telling me. And then it will slowly start coming down. Inflation has started slowing down a little bit. And but it's still not what they want it to be. It's still more than 6%.
From your experience, how's the market now? Like in terms of buying?
I think it's a good because people are anticipating a crash. They keep calling it a crash.
Crash. I've been hearing that all year.
But if you look at the trajectory that properties were going up in certain areas, I'm not talking about all areas in we're talking about similar areas, town
that's cool. East of London,
if you're going on a certain trajectory, and all of a sudden it's just gone like this, right? But it's supposed to go like this still, right?
Yeah.
If you consider that, then it's gone down. You could argue 20% than what it should have been.
Yeah.
And on top of that, prices have come down about 5%. So do you see what I mean? So I feel like property prices are much lower than what we're going to see. I feel like in a year, roughly.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, man.
Interesting.
I mean, that's just about what do I know?
Come on, man.
Want to talk to you a little bit about some things. So services that big corporations in gas provide, things like gas cover and stuff like that. British Gas quite well known for it, and I think there's other companies.
There are. There's many. So that's a very interesting subject because I've got landlords that they manage their own properties, so they haven't got many. They've probably got like 2 or 3 properties that they just look after themselves, and a lot of them get these kind of plans and covers in place. You got British Gas, Home Serve, and sometimes when you get property insurance, they give that as part of their cover. Sure. So they will cover your boiler, for example.
Like a landlord's insurance.
From my experience, and I've had friends actually that have worked for said companies, and they essentially they remember their businesses, and their thing is to upsell at all times. So if they come across a boiler, engineers for these companies, if they come across a boiler that's maybe, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years old, they can maybe replace a part and get it working. They're going to be instructed to say, you know what, it's beyond economical repair and we need to replace the boiler.
And that would be outside of their plan, basically, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And so you can imagine they're charging probably £2,000, £3,000, £4,000 for a straight combi swap, they're gonna give you payment plans, etc., to get on and all that kind of stuff. But essentially you're paying loads of money for something. So I've one of my friends, right, he used to work for a company, and he used to cover like Essex side. Okay. I don't want to say the company's name or anything here, but so he went to a property and like the boiler was gone. It was old anyway, so the company would have quoted him about £4,000 or £5,000 for the replacement. So he said, look, I've got a friend that may be able to do it. Give him a call, essentially. Maybe, it's general goodwill gesture, I suppose. So that person actually reported him to the company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's had to resign.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so that's how serious it is.
Was you the friend?
No. My friend.
No, did he? No, as in like, did they recommend you?
Oh yeah, no. Actually, one of my other mates. No. It weren't me. I felt bad for him, and that aside as well. Look. My thing is, especially with landlords, like I would always advise landlords, right, to find a local engineer, especially for the boiler and stuff, and have a close relationship with him, providing he's like a decent human being. He communicates well, presentable, professional, etc. And I have a good relationship with him, and live local to your properties, and because that's come from my point of view, because I would personally look after that customer and his appliances like my own, because you build a relationship with them. With these companies, they're sending Joe out on Monday, Andrew on a Wednesday. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And they're going in and coming out and not doing the job properly.
Yeah, because they, like you said, they'll try and find the most. Okay, let's just say, I know you don't want to mention companies, but let's just take, for example, British Gas, huge company, right?
Yeah.
Like for them, someone coming out and advising a landlord to do this, like you have to change the thing, you have to change the boiler. It sounds credible because it's British Gas, right?
That's the thing. That's the thing.
But what they don't realize is they're just being told to upsell everything.
Exactly. Right? One thing that I would definitely make sure for the listeners is that British Gas or whoever it is, it doesn't change nothing. As long as they're gas safe, qualified, and they're competent, and they've got track history, the company's been set up, etc. That's what you need to look for. British Gas are no authority over, me as a normal gas engineer on the side. So but that is it though, because they think that these companies are somehow more authoritative than me, for example, and they're gonna go with them. But actually, what the reality is.
So I mean, my experience as well, I've had obviously we manage a bunch of properties, but there's a very few of them that have their own cover. They come with their own cover, and so they need us to kind of like liaise with those companies, which it's not part of our. I mean, we'll do whatever the landlord asks us in that sense. We'll have to, right? But in our experience, it's always been better, kind of all-round experience when we work with local guys. Like, that's our whole business model.
Exactly. Like, and you know what? Just recently, actually, just come to my mind now. There's a property that I've been attending. I've been there twice. So they've got a pressure loss issue. So they've got British gas cover and they've got boiler manufacturer's warranty on the boiler, because the boiler is about 3 years old. Right? Everyone's come out. And like I said, these guys just come, do whatever they want, write whatever they want, and they're gone. They're not actually addressing the problem at hand.
And they don't always know the property properly, right? They don't
That's
know
the thing.
Whereas
exactly.
If you build a rapport with a landlord, then you kind of know that property and that you kind of get to know it.
Top of your head. Like you can name your property from one of your and I'll know what boiler's in there. I don't know exactly what postcode it's in. And this is why I encourage landlords and people that own their own properties and stuff to build a relationship with a local engineer, local tradesman, and it works better. Then, because you might think like, okay, British Gas or whoever, they're offering me like £20 a month or whatever, and they cover up to like 3 call outs a year, etc. You try calling them in the middle of December and see how quickly they come out. Do you understand?
Nobody calls the whole year. Everyone calls it.
Exactly. You try calling them literally now, November, and see how long they take for them to come out. So it's not always conducive. People think, okay, in the long run it's going to help, but really and truly it doesn't.
No, So bad experience personally.
And from like a lot of the people that I've advised this to, they've actually let go and look for local engineers, or I've been looking after them for the last few years. So
I had one recently actually. He contacted me and said, "Can you organize the EICR through his thing company?"
Okay.
I think it was British Gas or something like that. We organised it. The company didn't mention anything about like, any costs or anything like that. They're like, we'll send someone out. They sent it and he ended up getting a bill for like, I can't remember, like really high bill, 500 quid or something.
Wow, serious.
And he called me and said, why have I got this bill? I go,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know. He goes,
that's what I'm saying.
Did you book the EICR? I said, you asked us to book the EICR. We booked it.
That's what I'm saying.
And they go, why did they give me a bill? I go, that's between you and them, isn't it? What's that got to do with us?
Mad, and then like
and they didn't tell us. They didn't tell us they're going to bill him.
And then that's what they do. That's their thing, innit? They just want to upsell and make as much money as they can, and not look after the customer essentially.
Oh man, hey, what's kind of the future for your business? What direction do you see yourself going in? Heat pump thing?
Nah, I don't think that. I'm gonna stick to my gas for the foreseeable future.
So you see, like there is enough. The future's looking okay for gas.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Especially when Sunak done the U-turn on the gas boiler.
If you didn't, were you planning something?
I mean, look, renewables is the future. Yeah. Absolutely, renewables is the future. Better for the world, better for everyone, right? Sure. But we're not going to go anywhere unless the government gives us incentives. Because we're talking about millions and millions of people that depend on gas. So for the meantime, sticking to gas, air source heat pumps. Like most of my work is concentrated in the city of London.
Yeah.
So no one's gonna put air source heat pumps and renewables in because it won't make sense for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna cost way too much money.
Yeah.
And it's not feasible. And a lot because imagine now you got a 2-bedroom flat and you go for an air source heat pump. Where are you gonna house the cylinder?
Yeah.
Where are you gonna put the unit on the outside wall?
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
these are glass buildings as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Imagine what
Glass
they're gonna
building.
look.
Exactly.
'Cause
Yeah,
the old
you're
building is
banging
one thing.
trouble there, ain't you?
Yeah.
You'll have to go to the ceiling or something. Yeah, but moving forward, hopefully, inshallah, obviously grow the company more, try to get more employees in. Work's been going really well. Every year's been a trajectory in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I can't complain at all, man, alhamdulillah. So, I mean, I'm just taking every step as it comes. In terms
You're
of...
still on board. You still do jobs yourself as well.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm on the
you're
tools
hands-on
still. I'm on the...
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like with insulation and stuff, I got guys for that. Plumbing, I got a guy. But I overlook everything, make sure everything's all done properly before I kind of like close the job off.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, I'm probably going to get into commercial heating,
Yeah.
commercial and catering heating, but stay within like the gas premises of gas, not like venture off into electric and carpentry. I don't want to do none of that stuff.
Yeah,
you know, jack of all trades and master of none, as they say.
Exactly. Where can people find you, man, if they want to?
I'm on Google. I'm local.
Google Touch of Heat.
Yeah, Touch of Heat. I'm there. You find me there, man.
Yeah.
I don't really do the social media stuff like that. I don't really. I don't,
Maybe after this.
Maybe I should. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, Google is the place to find me, man. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Wicked. Yeah. I mean, is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, man. It's been a really interesting. I've really enjoyed the
You
experience,
enjoyed it?
man.
That's good, man. Maybe we'll have you again. I'm sure down the line we'll probably have to do another one of these.
Oh,
man.
well, let's see.
Maybe when
see.
things change, like when there's legislation change and stuff like that, I think it'll be interesting to come and talk
I
about
don't mind.
that
I
sort
don't
of
mind, man. Kind of broke the ice here, so
thing. I want to thank you again for coming on.
Nah, man. Thank you for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
Wicked. And thank you everyone for tuning in to this week's episode. If you like this kind of content, please do smash the like button again and drop a comment. It really helps the channel. Even if you didn't like something, let us know in the comment section. And I'll see you all next week. Thank you for tuning in.